everybody needs to find that one, and you end up making so much more because, yeah, the first one, it's probably a base hit. That's what it is in the baseball analogy. It's going to be. The
Mhm.
chances of it being a home run are slim and none. The home run is getting the first one and the learning, where now you
You got
have,
proof of concept. Yes.
yes.
Alrighty, folks, we are starting a series that I call Meet the Speaker. The ORaaT community should know by now we have our third annual event occurring in Las Vegas, February 14th and 15th. Yes, it's Valentine's Day. It is also President's Day weekend. You can fly to Vegas with your loved one. I certainly recommend doing these events together. Then you can have a blast on Monday and travel home. We are doing this Meet the Speaker series. First up is Brandon. One of the things I wanted to do in this event was celebrate people who are finding ways to crush it in today's real estate market, and Brandon is certainly doing that. I also wanted to celebrate our community. One of the things that you will see at this event is not only will millionaires be up on stage, but you're going to see some folks from our school community up on stage sharing their stories. Just so you know, this week we've got Brandon next Sunday. Next Sunday, actually at 9:30. We usually do it at 8, but next Sunday at 9:30, we will have the one and only Pace Morby. Pace Morby is day 2 headliner. He will be on for 90 minutes talking all good stuff. And if you are a part of our school community, you can join and ask Pace questions. And again, he will be at the Vegas event. But today is all about Brandon. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Doing
Awesome,
good.
buddy. Well, folks, just like always, you can raise your hands, you can put questions in the comments, but Brandon and I will get started. Brandon, why don't you just kind of tell your background, kind of introduction, what you do in this crazy world of real estate?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. And when did it start when I went into this model? And it really, I would say it started all the way back in my teenage years. My family had built multiple houses, and I really enjoyed looking at blueprints. And
Mhm.
back then, they were actually blueprints.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, and I enjoyed looking at them. And I enjoyed the building process, seeing something start from just dirt and to build something that lasts. Went into that. Went into, I guess, in my teenage years, my family built a small subdivision that's actually named after my mother. I've not
Wow.
shared that before. I was the kid. One summer, one of my jobs was laying sod around the two ponds. So I've built, they only did one, but I was around that. I naturally, because, my parents always built their houses, I didn't know much different and just started building houses.
Nice.
First one was with kind of a stock, plan with a builder.
Sure.
Each one I built, I'm now on my fourth one. Now I'm doing custom builds. And so it was natural for me to say, I'm not intimidated by doing the build to rent model if I can make the numbers work. I'm from this area. I have lots of connections of relationships with different builders, and I knew who the smaller builders that had good reputations that I could trust, and just found the land one year and started the process. And now I'm further into the process. My first one, actually, first two. So think of this, I'm building in spring of 2020.
Oh, okay.
That was scary because
I
none of
bet.
us knew.
Yeah, spring of 2020, the world shuts down, the economy shuts down, you can't go outside. It was crazy, crazy.
Where's the business model for this? We've never read about
Yeah,
this.
that's not in any textbook I saw. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I did those two, and on the other side of it, they're genuine fear in
Yeah.
doing those at that moment, but came out the other side and then thought, wow, I wished I'd have done five more at that moment. But it built out, and each one I've learned, and I'm gonna share even at the conference. You know, it's about getting into the game. And each build, I learned something. I'm still learning today on the current builds.
Yeah.
So to say you perfect it first time is impossible. Same thing with buying. You don't perfect it the first time.
Right.
You have to get in the game. And so I'm going to go through. So here, a couple of pictures, images of a few of the properties. Okay, here's what I learned on this one. This worked well. This didn't work well, and really share it in a genuine way that, hey, not everything's a home run. Not everything of mine is a home run. And say, here's what I've learned. Here's how I underwrote them. Here's how I secured them. And here's the mistakes I made. And I'd
Yeah.
do different,
I love this. One of the things I want folks to understand, not only with Meet the Speaker series, which you'll see here and on YouTube, but also the event, right? The event is something I've spent a lot of time putting together. You're going to see lots of different ways to make money, even in today's real estate market. And as somebody in the audience, what I hope does not happen is that you come out of this confused, right? You're going to see build to rent today. We're going to talk about rent by room. We're going to talk about passion projects and sub two and all these other things during the event. My hope is that you come from this and you figure out what your thing is, right? What your one thing is. Because again, I think what a lot of new investors do, and I see it at events, and it's a concern that I have as the host, is you leave the 2 days excited, but you're not sure you're excited about what. Like, oh, I could do that, and I could do that, and I can do that. I don't want to create confusion. My hope is you come taste everything and you go, that's my thing. So today we're going to talk again about build to rent, ground up development. But again, it is a concern I have. Brandon, I know you share that. Talk about the importance of understanding your one thing.
Yeah, I am going to share that one thing. I'm actually going to I'm not going to share them here. I'm going to save it for the conference, but I am going to give a couple of illustrations of why the one thing matters. It's either going to cost you thousands if you're going not doing the one thing, and it's going to make you thousands if you focus on the one thing. And I'm going to give some illustration because we all should look at here, where's my natural talents? If I can piggyback on some of my life and my natural talents and stay and find that lane that fits in it, you're going to be that much better
Yeah.
at where you're going.
Yeah, it's not only money. The thing that I see most investors fail at when they go to my event or other events, and there's people like you just giving, right? You're not selling anything. You don't have a course. You're a member of the school community, so you're clearly a go-giver. Um, but they come out of it and they're just like, I like everything. So the thing that I think you run the risk of, the opportunity cost to me is not thousands of dollars, which it certainly is, if not tens of thousands. It's time. That's the thing that scares me, right? You always talk about the best time to get in real estate was today, or 10, plant a tree today or 10 years ago, or whatever they're saying is. It's the same thing here, right? If you come to this session and you're excited about ground up development, for example, or build to rent, and then for the next 8 days, because Pace isn't in for 8 days, then you come to Pace's meeting, and then you're like sub two, and then I'm gonna do mailers and door knocking, and then after that you talk to Jared, you're gonna do. I mean, realize in the beginning, it's okay to find your thing, right? What we're calling the one thing here. But once you lock in, right?
Yes.
If you look at my story, the book One Rental at a Time, which is I smile because it's over your right shoulder. So thank you for the
Yeah.
placement. I appreciate that. I did recognize it, so shout out to
Product
you.
placement.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Um, the reason it worked is I only had 20 minutes a day, and when you don't understand how crazy my life was in 2000, 2001, and 2, where I had a raising a family. I had a job where I was easily working 60 hours, but I would travel 20 to 30 hours on top of that. And you didn't have the same kind of access to technology you had today, right? The iPhone wasn't out yet, so and I only had 20 minutes. So I had to lock in. And now thankfully, I now understand that's my superpower. I have a unique ability to laser in like very few and ignore everything else. But I, it's just a concern I have, is that people get really excited about this because again, you're printing money doing it this way, and it should be exciting, but I don't want people to bounce around to all of the ways. So it's just I guess it's a concern of mine.
Yeah, I was thinking of the same thing that everybody needs to find that one, and you end up making so much more because yeah, the first one it's probably a base hit. That's what it is in the baseball analogy. It's going to be the
Mm-hmm.
chances of it being a home run are slim and none.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a base hit. It's really the home run is getting the first one and the learning. where now
You
you
you got
have,
proof of concept. Yes.
yes, that's the home run, is the proof of concept, the first-hand knowledge. There's only so much you can learn with second and third hand knowledge. You've got to get in the game.
I couldn't agree more. Well, let's do folks a favor and let's kind of break down a timeline. And we'll go back to the very beginning of this because again, we are doing build to rent. It all starts with a vacant lot. So
Yeah,
your first step is your buy box in the beginning is trying to find what kind of lot. What's your buy box like?
back then, so this all happened around, I'm trying to think back because it gets fuzzier from
Yeah,
18,
we get
19. It was
older and older and it goes farther and farther back.
I know. So 18 or 19, somewhere right around there, I found some lots, and these were the golden nuggets, and I didn't really even realize how much the gold. These were zoned single family that should have been zoned multifamily. I
Okay.
come across these, buy these two single family lots. I went through the city council, got them rezoned with
So
planning and
one
zoning.
quick question. So where did you find them? Were they on the MLS? Was it just driving around? How'd
Just
you find them?
driving around. So these
Okay.
just driving around and found these. It was happened to be up in Dion territory. The guy was from Washington State.
Okay.
Had these lots in Texas. Said, "Hey," I called him. He says, "I want to sell them." And they were all zoned single family. They should have been multifamily because that was what was around it. It was
Okay.
miszoned.
Okay.
And so,
And why that's important is I'm guessing single family lots are valued cheaper than multifamily. If they were
yeah,
zoned correctly, you would have probably had to pay more.
yes.
Okay.
And so I had a background. I used to be the vice chairman of planning and zoning in our city.
Oh, talk about unfair advantage. Hey, well, hello.
So I knew, and I was like, okay, I'm not intimidated by the process. I'll go
Mhm.
through the process. For one thing, I'm creating forced equity just rezoning them.
Yeah.
With just a few dollars, I got them rezoned.
Now, timeline in dollars. Let's tell people. So again, you have an unfair advantage, so you know the process, the paperwork. But let's tell people: you buy them, you close. How long until they are stamped multifamily?
It took several months, a few months. It wasn't
So
a
let's
year. So it's
let's call it
three or
two or
four
three months.
months.
Okay,
Yeah.
3 or 4 months. And so that's time. Now, dollars, is it just filing fees or did you have to
Filing
get them
fees.
graded? So it's hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. Hundreds of dollars.
Okay, so $100, 4 months, bingo, bango, multifamily. Now, when they're multifamily, is this just small, like duplex, tries, quads, or what
One
were,
to
yeah,
four. Yeah,
one
one
to
to four.
four? Okay, all right. And now, how much did you pick up just in the paperwork? So you go from a single family lot, which you bought for X. Did it double in value when it got its stamped multifamily? Triple? What's the just wild guess?
At least triple.
Okay. All right. So it's worth the time. All right.
Yes, it's
Okay.
worth the time. It was at least triple. And so I sat on them. I was busy building a small business. Some of y'all know that I have a small business. So I'm in the process of teenage kids,
Hmm.
just life, growing a business. And I'm sitting there about a year and a half, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm paying property tax, even though it's not much.
Cleaning
Um,
fees, you
yeah,
got to mow
I'm
it.
having to mow it. I'm doing all these things. I'm like, I need to get this producing money. So I jump in, and I think pretty soon around that time, right after that, I found your channel, but I jump in, get them going. So that was in 2020. I started construction.
So, okay. No, let's, so I want to slow down and give everybody
Sure.
the timeline. So you buy them, you close them, triple the value, you set on them, life happens. At some point, you want to start building, but you don't just wake up one day and build. Um, so let's actually talk about the lot. So first off, you bought the lots from, I'm guessing, cash. So you
Yes.
own them free and clear, no debt.
Yes.
Okay. So you buy them, then you triple the value with some paperwork. Then you have to go get plans. So again, you have to go through the city, right? You don't just wake up and say, I'm going to build something, right? There's a
Yeah,
process for
so
that.
I'm getting an architect to help me draw them up. I'm looking where I'm getting all my plans. Now, I do draw them, but I'm getting ideas online. I'm looking at different floor plans,
Sure.
getting an idea of something, drawing it up, met with an architect in our community, had him draw it up, had talked to the city, finding out the guidelines because there are guidelines of offsets,
Yeah.
what
Sprinklers and,
all of those things. Do they want fire suppression? They did. They'd made that change. So I had to
yep.
do. fire suppression, but they're wanting softscapes. A
Mm,
certain percentage of the front yard has to be softscape. So you're getting all of that, working with the architect, getting that drawn up, submitting it to the city, getting with the builder, even at that time too. We're getting bids,
hmm.
finding out what the costs are, making sure that those numbers work with what rents should
Yep.
be,
Hmm.
looking at all of that, and then we're
So what is that timeline? So that's, I mean, that's not a week.
that, yeah,
That's
that's not a week. That's several months. It's 3 to 6 months in that process to
okay.
finally being able to break ground, is what they
Yep.
say.
And that's probably thousands, if not tens, because architects ain't free.
They're not free.
Yeah, permitting and what's not free. So what's rough and tough the cost to get it to breaking ground point?
For here in
How much are you?
Texas, you're talking multiple thousands for the impact fees,
Okay, yep, sure.
and getting it started. The building fees really not that much. It's really the impact fees, and more cities have those
Yeah.
impact fees. The architect really wasn't too bad. It's usually they charge you based off the square foot.
Okay.
It's be it for this simple plan, it was only, I think I remember 50 cents a square foot.
Okay. All
So it
right.
was a
So you're into
41.
this at this point, 10 grand ish
Yeah,
all in.
yeah, yep,
Okay.
that's it.
All right. So you get the plans, you get the stamp, you get permission. Again, maybe you build this out of petty cash, but I'm guessing you got what's called a construction loan. Is that reasonable?
Get a construction loan,
All
yes.
right, so let's break that down because that's different than normal 30-year financing for folks. So okay, you have a lot, you own it free and clear, aka an asset. You have now city plan permits and stamps and whatever all that is, so you can start building. You go to a bank, you show them this, and you get what's called a construction loan. The land becomes the asset, right?
Yes,
You pledge that as
that's right.
capital, and then they typically give you a series of draws, right? They don't just give you a
They don't
check
just
for
hand you the
200
whole
grand.
money. No.
No. So break down did you shop construction loans? Construction loans are typically variable, right? They're also typically short term. So just help people understand because I think a lot of people watching this are used to
Sure.
30-year fixed. What's a construction loan?
So yes, you would shop. At that moment, I knew the bank that I wanted to work with that I'd already had business with. And so
Hmm.
it made the process easier. And I had them willing to do 80% of appraisal, not
And
80% of
appraisal here is
cost.
after completion, just so
After
everybody's
completion
tied in.
appraisal. So it's saying it's worth this X
A
hundreds of
number.
thousands,
Yep.
will lend 80%. That
Okay.
ended up being what my construction costs were, actually a little
Hmm.
bit less,
Nice.
but they use the collateral. They also have the collateral of the land. So
Yep.
that land is a collateral plus that 20% of the equity in
Margin
there.
of safety. Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, again, construction loans are very common. Again, that's why a lot of people buy the lots in cash, so it becomes pledged capital to this. It is short-term debt, meaning it's also higher rates, right? So this
It
was
is.
2020 when you started this?
2020 and finished up in 2021.
Yeah, so it wouldn't shock me, people were getting mortgages in the threes, 30-year fix in the threes. Your construction loan was probably in the eights, I'm just guessing.
It was back then, trying to remember. Actually, no, it was in the fives back
Okay, wow,
then.
that's not bad. Okay.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
in the fives.
Today would not be in the
No,
fives.
today it's not there. No, no, no.
Yeah,
So,
much higher. Yeah, much higher.
so
So
the
okay,
beauty is you're not paying because you're only paying interest on what you've drawn, so
correct.
that it's not as if
Not a big, yeah.
if I'm borrowing 447,000, which was on that construction, it's not the whole 440 I'm paying interest on. It's just on the draws as you're building it out.
Now let's break down the draws. Typically, a construction loan will have pretty set fees, or set stages, whatever you call them, draws. Was this three, four, five? I mean, how many draws are we talking about?
She allowed me to, we would take a draw about once a month. That
Okay.
was about the routine, was around once a month. So for
So
that,
you would do the work, just so people understand. You would fund the
yes,
cost for that month. You would then send receipts or documentation or whatever. They probably would send somebody out to validate that the work's done and done to code. Then they would cut
absolutely.
a check, and then you would do that again.
We would do the model with this builder. Now, this is all about relationships. So he knew me, and there was a form of trust. Now, we had a contract, but there was a form of trust that had been built. He would get it built. It was cost plus.
Yep.
So if whatever his cost was plus 10% back then, he would send that invoice in. I would then send it to the bank. They would then do the inspection saying, okay, it's if I'm drawing, let's just say, for example, 20% of the draw of the loan, am I 20% complete? The banks look at it too, and they know percentage completion based off of every draw where you are in the process because they don't want you to get ahead of draws when say it's 30% complete and you're drawing 50% of the money, they won't allow that. So they're always inspecting,
Hmm.
making sure that the draws are in the same percentage of completion.
Yeah. So again, folks, if you're coming to the Vegas event, you're not only going to get Brandon on stage for a little bit, not only going to be able to ask him questions, but he will be there all 2 days. And he'll
Yes,
be up in the
absolutely.
VIP section. So you can, if you are in the VIP section, you can get even more close quarters and be able to ask questions. This is why the event's so important. My speakers don't just fly in, fly out. They will be there for the 2 full days. So again, lots of opportunities. So, okay. So you're in the construction, you're getting your money back. Now let's go to the end of this where you get I think it's called a certificate of occupancy, right?
Yes,
Basically
and
the
we also
city's
call it green tag, where you're
okay,
getting the
green
green
tag
tag, not the red tag. The red tag means okay, it failed inspection, and there's multiple inspections through the process.
for sure. The city's involved. Yep.
City's involved, they're going to inspect it, but I look at it as a good thing because it's a check against the builder to make
Yes.
sure they're not cutting corners. Because I chose, and this is something I will describe, I chose to use a builder. I could have been the builder, but I would have a lot more work.
Yeah.
Then
You
I'm
had a
having to
job, a
get
family. Yeah.
it becomes a job, and my prices might not be the same because I'm not building as many,
Good
and
point,
that
actually.
that contractor's not banking on multiple contracts for years to come. So I choose to then be looking for more property. I have that time. So for his time, it was worth it to
For
me
sure.
to do it that way. So
Yeah,
we
it's
get
funny
to
you
the
bring that
green
up.
tag,
Yeah, it's
we're
funny you bring that up
done.
because that's important. You have to figure out what your thing is, right? Even if you kind of laser in on build to rent here, you also have to realize it's really tough to do everything.
You're right.
Because again, I did the same thing in the beginning, right? We paid a property manager, and again, I'm just a buy and hold guy, but we paid a property manager since day one. Because again, I had a life, I had a crazy business, and I figured the only thing I could do is find deals, right? So you
Right.
talked about a pipeline, right? Your unique advantage is to find the lots, right? It all starts there. If you don't get great deals on the lots, this, you know, it's
It's
not that it
dead.
won't work, but yeah, it's dead. So, giving a builder their piece and then managing the builder frees up time, opportunity cost is lower. I think it's a genius move.
Yeah, I was looking at, and these are some current ones. That one was a fourplex. So I started off, which is kind of crazy. I started off
Yeah,
with a fourplex, but
nice.
now I'm doing single families. And so when my cost with the builder is about $15,000 for his fee, he's putting in 300 hours into this project.
Wow.
I'm putting in maybe 40, but I'm getting the equity of 50 to 60,000. He's getting
Yeah,
15.
you win.
If I'm looking at what I want to make per hour, trying to look at what's the most productive thing I do, it is for him to build, me to look at the bigger picture and be looking for the next properties because I'm
Yep.
making so much more seeing the big picture, looking for the next available infill lots,
Right.
not getting so bogged down in the build where I don't have time. So it was actually the right decision. I make so much more outsourcing that and not being the builder.
Oh, I love that. We'll get to infill lots in a minute because I want you to define. Actually, let's do it right now since it's here. You said the word infill. I may have said it earlier, but let's define that. I don't know that everybody knows what that vocabulary is. What's an infill lot?
So this is a lot that has typically already been platted. So it's a lot and block. The ones that I'm going after already have all the utilities there. I'm looking for sewer lots, not septic lots. I'm looking for
Mm,
water, sewer, electric. It's already there, less risk, and you already know your costs going in. These are just kind of city type lots that are, it's pretty simple to understand. You know your costs that much easier.
I like it. I like it. So, okay, let's go back to you get your green tag, you get the certificate of occupancy. Again, this is a fourplex. So what happens to the debt, right? Once you get the occupancy, what happens to the debt? Do you go back to, did that just flip to permanent? Maybe you had that agreement, or did you have to
No,
refi it, or?
we shopped it out. I
All right.
had a relationship with a mortgage loan provider, and we flipped it to permanent financing from there.
All right. So another escrow. You had to go through escrow again, pay off the
Yeah,
construction
you had a
loan.
closing cost for that 30-year permanent.
Yep.
And so I
Okay.
had underwritten it for much lower rents because at that moment the rent explosion hadn't happened.
Mm,
So I had created the model of 1,200 a month in rents. These are two-bedroom units.
mhm.
And it exploded at that time all the way up to 1,400. So I was really in the money at
Nice.
that time,
Nice.
just
Okay.
the way it played out.
Very, very cool. Well, folks, don't forget we're about a half hour in. I don't see any hands up. I don't see any questions in the comments. We do have some comments about get your tickets. Yes, folks, get your tickets. Don't miss out. The room will be capped, and I have a fear that when Pace Morby gets involved, all this sub two folks will jump in. So don't miss out. You did say something earlier that I'd be remiss if we didn't poke at. You started with fourplexes, but now you're doing single family, and I got to ask why.
So I have a fourplex, a triplex.
Okay.
And then I have made the decision. I want a combination. I'm trying to go towards a 50-50. I know it won't be perfectly 50-50,
Okay.
but a 50-50 split of small multifamily. Because my goal, where I think I'm going to be done, is around 20 units. So
Okay.
I'm trying to say,
So just so
okay,
we're clear, 20 units or 20 doors? Just
20 doors, I guess is what I
doors.
would say, 20
Okay.
doors.
Got it. All right.
And roughly half of those in small multifamily and half in single family. Because the way I look at it is it's a diversification play in that multifamily are priced based off of rents. That
Mhm.
creates the value. Single family are not based off of rents. They're based off of just traditional market.
Yep. Okay.
So I'm
I like it.
looking at a way just to subtly diversify your single families, they stay longer, your
Hmm.
multifamilies
Yeah.
stay less, but not far difference in what I'm doing. They're all build
Yep.
construction. I'm just
Okay.
diversifying that way.
Oh, I like it. I mean, I like having a vision and a plan. That's pretty cool. All right. We got our first question up. We'll go to Jim here. We'll do Flavio's comment next. But Jim, you're up, bud.
Hey Brandon. Hey
Hey,
Mike.
Hey.
So you in Texas, have you looked into other places? Because like California, it's almost a non-starter, just the cost to start. Have you looked at other areas and the challenges in other areas?
no, I've made the decision, my lane and my part of my one thing is I'm going to build local. I have lots of relationships inside of those, and the numbers work here in North Texas. So I'm realizing why would I go and add another variable going out of state when the numbers work very well, my model works, and I have the relationships with the contractors, the cities. I've got it all put together. And so it would not be a wise decision for me to look elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, this is part of the reason. Again, real estate's always local, as everyone knows. But what works in one place may not work in another. And you're absolutely right, Jim. I've tried to just build a simple ADU in freaking California when they're approved by the freaking governor, and it was ungodly difficult.
Yeah, it's really frustrating because they whine and complain there's not enough housing, but they won't make it to where you can actually put said housing in.
No,
'Cause
it's
I would do Brandon's concept all day long, but California just makes it way too. I mean, fire sprinkler, Title 24, just all that stuff combined is just stupid.
no, I have a big ass lot that was great to put two single family houses on, and they wanted 50 grand just to look at it and with no guarantee. I'm like, F you.
Yeah.
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 And then try to do a multifamily. Then you get
Ah,
into all kinds of fire codes and all kinds of yeah, it's just ugly. And then yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, you're also looking at other markets, so maybe if not California, maybe somewhere else. But yeah, this again is know what's right for you. And don't try to make a square peg in a round hole. And I agree with Jim, your feedback. This is awesome, great in most of the country, but not California.
Yeah, I realized there it wouldn't fit. The numbers
Yeah,
wouldn't math out.
yeah.
Yeah,
How
one
about
one thing you talk about looking into several different things. I like looking into all the aspects because I learned something new from all of the aspects.
yeah,
And
that's
then I
true.
can make a final decision on what I'm doing, maybe try one or two here or there. Then I lock into what I really know is going to work. I want to do a short-term rental. I don't know if that's the best idea.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. No, not my thing. I'm gonna be quiet. All right. Jim, thank you very much. All right, Flavio, you got a question. We'll go to Cameron next. So, Flavio's question is: do you have to have the contractor lined up at the time of getting construction loan? Well, that's a good question.
no, that is a good question. Yes, the bank, if you're going to get a construction loan, they typically will not allow you to build if you don't have a contractor, especially if you've never built before. They're going to require it. They're looking at that builder too. They are
Yep.
underwriting everything. And I know some of y'all know I understand. I used to be in commercial banking. I was the other side of it. I know what
Mhm.
their underwriting process is. They're underwriting you. They're underwriting the costs. They know what they should be. They are looking at that builder. Does he have a good reputation? Do we have confidence in his build? They're looking at every factor because it's their money
Yeah,
and they're
at the end
wanting
of
to
the
make sure they're not holding the
yeah,
bag.
when you're going to get a construction loan, they're going to want to make sure you are buttoned up and ready to go, right? Which mean you have a contractor, you have a scope of work, you have a timeline, you have estimated cost of materials, you have site plans, right? They're not going to
You're
just
handing the
release.
whole
Yeah,
package there.
yeah.
Yes,
We're
absolutely.
ready to go break dirt. Yeah. All right, we got a question from Cameron. Do you have any recommendation for books, resources, or looking into developing infill lots? Again, you come at this from a family of builders, spending time in the city, so you have experience there. But what about somebody that's layman and just wants to get a couple of books? Any thoughts?
I really don't know of a book on building. Now, that's interesting because Mark and I have talked about this. I am considering writing a book
Mm,
myself.
there you go, Dion number two. There you go.
Yes, I could be part of the group writing and
Hmm.
I'm putting that out there to actually to hold me accountable. And
Nice.
I'm almost finished with his book. I am at page 300 now.
Anybody else farther than that? Page 300. It's like 500 pages. This book. Yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
Well,
Sorry,
I'm
I
considering
digress.
that's it's a very valid. Now, I could write some things in there on my build to rent. Absolutely. I've got already an idea of the first book, let's just say that,
Hmm.
and put some of that, my knowledge of financial literacy,
Hmm.
leverage, understanding finance, putting something out there.
Well, let's just say this here right now. You need to be right. Your book needs to be published in the next 9 months. Let's just put a timeline on it. Stop pussyfooting around. Make a commitment already.
I
Come
know.
on. 9 months. What is today? August 9th. So would it be
Oh
9 months?
my
That'd be
goodness.
like let's call it tax day. That's a great day.
All right.
April 15th. I want to see a book on Amazon.
Let me tell
Anything I
you,
can do to help.
I have worked on the subject. I am working on the chapters right now. What would the
Oh.
chapters be?
Oh, so
So
what you're telling me is you don't need 9 months. So you need 6 months.
no.
That's what you just said.
Zuber,
You're dealing with the
you
sales
have
guy here.
mentioned it, and I have mentioned we can't write, and that's the biggest intimidation to this.
You know how you fix that? You just write it down and then you pay an editor and then they
Yes,
write it for you. So that's
yes.
that, again, I've done that twice. So don't sweat that.
So
So
that's
so now it's 6 months. So what is that now? It's like it's all right, we'll
oh
keep it
my.
April 15th. We'll keep it April 15th. That's fine.
But I will put that's a very good thing that you're putting out there is maybe when I do write, I'm putting some of this on the new build to rent side,
You have
build
to.
a chapter out with that and try to be very
Oh, shit, come on. No. It's got to be multiple chapters. You got to
multiple
break it
chapters.
down in the process. Like this is how you do it. Like this is the building because I got to remember people are asking for because this is a way to make money in real estate, even when it's difficult, right? You're again, we haven't even got to the numbers, right?
Oh
You've
no,
said them, but
yeah.
we'll piece them together, right? You found a lot, the lot tripled in value, that became collateral. You found a builder, you built it for 80%. You get the term debt refinance. You're basically in the deal, very little money,
Right.
and it's a cash flow monster, right? Your yield, right? My word, your yield, your cash on cash, return on capital, whatever you want to call it, it's over 100%, and sometimes it's infinity, right? Because you actually have no money in the deal. So again, we got to You got to have multiple chapters on it. So by April 15th, everybody
There
hold them
you go.
accountable.
You're putting
That's
me on the spot.
Yeah, that's what I do. You've got a commitment. It's on record. You've got a whole bunch of folks
There's
watching this.
video now. There's
There's
video
video.
now.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start sending you the Pink Panther emoji or from or meme that we used to guilt the lumberjack into. So
Yeah.
we'll find a way to do that. Anyways, I digress. Sorry.
So
Go
what
ahead.
what next? So building these out and what I share, the numbers are good. And some of y'all, my NOI, my average NOI, and I'll dive farther into this, is over 9.1%. And
Nice.
these are brand new. I have less I have less than right at well, maybe right at $150,000 in all of my projects combined.
Now, when you say all, just so we put some numbers on, how many doors?
I have 12.
So you're rough and tough, 12 grand a door, 11 grand a door,
Yes.
whatever. Okay. All right. That's not bad.
And part of it is from the first one, I didn't put anything down. It was all financed. So other than the closing cost to go to the permanent, that's the only dollars I had in it.
So you're a
So
couple
what
of
was that?
grand.
7, 8 grand?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all.
That's nice. Nice.
Going forward, it changed a little bit. So going forward and to today, so can it be done today? I just purchased another lot this week. I did a an ugly offer, 30% below list.
Yes.
So I said, it's not worth that. This isn't 9 months ago.
Right.
It's worth this, and I'm happy to pay this, and I'll close in 2 weeks, or I'll find something else. And guess what? In 24 hours, their tune changed. But I'm
Man,
doing
disrespectful offers work
even
on lots.
disrespectful
Go figure.
lots. Yeah, yeah, disrespectful offers on lots. So right now I've made the change, and this is from learning. I
Mhm.
really want to be at 70% loan to value. So all the builds
Hmm.
have been built with about right at, I mean, almost consistent 20% equity. So I've been able to build them. And I was looking, me in my late 40s, early 50s, how do I do both cash flow and wealth at the same time with what I know? And build to rent worked perfectly. I grew my wealth very quickly and still cash flowed above 10% cash on cash return, even putting that 10% down and paid closing costs.
Hmm.
So I'm able to cash flow. I'm looking for a yield and I use low average rent. So I'm wanting my low average rents, which is between 5 and 7% below average.
Hmm.
I want that to be 10% cash on cash return. That's how
I
I'm
like it.
safely underwriting it.
I like it.
Putting the 10% down. I also am looking for I'm looking at both at the same time, a fixed number. I'm wanting cash flow above 200, ideally 250 or higher,
Hmm.
and a 10% per cash on cash. I mean, I can have infinity with $1. Well,
Right.
that doesn't make it the right investment. So I
And
put a minimum hundreds of dollar a month cash flow and the 10%. It's both.
I like it. I like it. Again, knowing your buy box buying criteria, learning as you go, always important. I love how you're refining as you go, and
Yes.
you've done this half a dozen times, and it's still learning, still improving. That goes back to understanding your one thing, right? Getting good at your one thing. So very, very cool. We'll actually do Esther's question first, and then we'll go to Jim after that. Did you have a real estate lawyer to get the building site requirements such as utility, stormwater code, frontage? Like, did you use a real estate lawyer at all for any of this? I know you talked architect, but what else?
No, just the architect and the builder who is familiar. He's building in this area, so he knows what we need. But then also, you're submitting it to the city. They're going to tell you.
Yeah,
They're going to
they're
tell you,
involved. They're
oh,
involved. Yeah.
because the submission process for these multifamilies, I was having to submit two, maybe three times. We had to make an edit where
Mm.
we thought we understood what they said, and we would send it, and it was just little tweaks. So there wasn't a need for a lawyer in this situation. We had the builder and the
And you're
architect,
buying lots that already had utilities, right?
and we're
That's
buying
again that.
lots with already with utilities. Yes,
Yeah, you didn't have to have new stuff
but that's a
run.
great
So
question.
yeah, yeah, very cool. All right, Jim, buddy, let's go.
Have you run into surprises by the counties, sidewalks, lighting, that type of stuff that they tend to like to
Hmm.
throw into things?
No, we would know that up front. In my area, the cities wouldn't require any lighting. As far as, are you talking about street lighting or lighting on the structure? Is that maybe what you're talking about?
Not on the structure. I'm talking actual street lighting. So sometimes if there's not a sidewalk close to you, they'll make you put in a sidewalk or they'll make you put in a street light.
Yeah, no, our city doesn't do that. We do have sidewalk requirements on that, and I will say they do require, like in the multifamily, the last one they made some building code changes. So you've got to know even every year or two there's building code changes. They wanted a drive through where there was almost like a circle where they could go in one side, ingress and an egress. So you know these things up front. They don't change it midstream.
Well, yeah,
You're
but when you're purchasing the lot's the biggest question.
Mm.
we don't have exterior lighting
Okay.
requirements here. No, that would be a city, what the city does. If they were putting any street lamps or anything like that, street lights, that'd
Yeah,
be the
they don't. So what happens a lot of times, at least in California, they actually require, if you want to get your permit, you have to put that street light in.
wow. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
difference. That's a difference.
Texas and California
Well,
looking different every day.
Jason Cambria ran into that too in Seattle.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's doing a sidewalk to nowhere basically.
Ah, yes. I actually know some folks who had to build like extra 30 feet of a sidewalk because they needed additional parking. So yeah, that stuff it does happen for sure. Absolutely. Dylan, it looks like you have a question but don't know where to hand raise. If you do want to raise your hand, it's under the React button. At the bottom of the screen, there's a little heart. It says React. If you click on the icon, it says recognize hand gesture or play chime to raise a hand, whatever it is. There's choices there. But Dylan, you have a question, I think.
Yeah, so the question I had is I've been looking into development. I'm actually meeting with a developer tomorrow because my fiance wants to buy a multifamily property, but I don't want her to buy the stuff I buy because the foundations on some of the stuff I buy is a little dicey because I buy all the older stuff. Um, so we're looking at doing a new build, but I can't seem to figure out what to pay for the lot. So I'm trying to factor in what all the input costs are besides the construction because the developer I talked to said he can build for somewhere between 100 to 120
Mhm.
square foot. And I'm just trying to figure out like between the lot and hooking up utilities and everything else like that's concerned there,
Yep.
what that's going to amount to per square foot for the development that we're looking at
Now,
doing.
Dylan, just to kind of further clarify, are you buying infill lots or are you going out in the country or the next order and you're buying big plots of land? What are we buying?
Buying an infill lot, and
Okay.
there's a few adjacent towns next to where we live that have some infill lots that are listed on market, but they've been there
Nice.
for a year. So I was like, oh, let's lowball them and see what they
There you go.
say.
Disrespectful offer for the win again. I love this. All right. Break this down for us, Brandon. What are kind of the additional costs besides simple lot purchase and then cost of construction? What are the other variables Dylan and fiance should be thinking about?
So you should find out from the city what the impact fees are, what the build permit, unless the builder's including that in their price, impact fees, what it'll take to
Now
develop the
let's break down impact fees because again, we said that word a
Yes.
couple of times. What is an impact fee? Because again, he's talking about plumbings and utilities, all of it. That's in the impact fee. What is an impact fee?
So you could have you're going to have an impact fee depending on communities. Every community is a little different. So you could have a water and sewer impact fee. You could have, I've heard of road impact fees.
Sure.
You need to get with the city to find out what it would be because it changes based off the number, a lot of times on the number of units or the
For
number
sure.
of
Hmm.
meters.
Yep.
So you need to know that ahead of time, and that would be getting with the city, finding out. It might be on their website. Some of these communities, they'll have it all there on the website. If not, you're going to talk to them.
Yeah. Okay. So impact fees. Again, you should probably have architect. There'll be that won't be free, but that will be something. I think you said earlier your guy was 50 cents a square foot. I would say that's on the low end, given my experience. Again, very much California, but again, know your area. Um, Anything else like holding costs?
You would want to figure in what is the lay of the land? Does it have a severe slope? Well, then now you're going to have retaining walls, which I count all of that lot and lot development pre-construction.
For sure. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
looking at if my pre-construction is 15% or below, that's about what I'm doing on my single family lots. It's in that 15%. But then I always look at the lot with the metrics I have in my community. And this is based off of what you'll get in rents. So I think there's a variable on rents. I'm at where the numbers work for me is 15 to 20,000 per door.
Okay.
The numbers have worked for me. And based off of your build costs, I think there's a good chance that could work. So another way, I've been working on this for the speech too. I'm looking at, okay, if I'm going to get $20,000 a year in rent, I can spend 20,000 or less per unit.
Mm.
That's a metric. And I don't know if that's perfect yet. I'm still testing these things out and saying, is that a good thing to share? Because I know this is a question, Dylan, others have asked. And it's so hard when it's all over the country, so different. It's really a challenge. But I want to give you genuine information. I'm not going to hold back. I might ask more questions when we're there at the conference and ask you more things about your area so that I can give you a more detailed number for you because it's so area specific
Yeah.
when
Love it.
you build.
Love it. Go givers all around in the school community. It's why you're speaking at the event. I appreciate that. Earlier question from Flavio. I almost skipped over. Shame on me. Sorry, Flavio. How much did you have to put down for the construction loan? So kind of again, you have the asset, you own it free and clear. It becomes collateral. So how would you answer that question? How much did you put down for the construction loan?
So what they're having me do is, of course, I've got the lot free and clear. Let's just take the last one. I'm paying 15,000 for this single family lot. So I already have that cash in.
Yep.
I'm getting a loan for this example. So these appraise at 270,000. I can qualify for a whole lot more. I can qualify for over 210, but I know I'm building them for around 205.
Mm.
So I don't want to get $210,000 loan because I don't need it. Plus, they're charging an origination fee, not on the amount you draw. These are
Yeah.
things you've got to think of.
The whole
So if I
thing.
draw it at 210, a loan at 210, I'm going to pay 0.5%, 1% origination on 210,000. But if I never used it, I might have just paid an extra few $100s of origination fee on loans I don't need. So I put the 15,000 in and I'm backing out what it's going to cost me. So if I'm building it at 205, I've got 15 in it. I only need a loan for 190. Now at the end, I've made the decision. I don't have to because they'll lend the mortgage companies out there now typically it's 75% is what they'll lend on it. I'm choosing to be at a start at a loan to value of 70. So I'm knowing at the end I'm going to have 10%. So that's say 20,000 in it and closing costs, which I'm typically all these single families. The beauty is I've done three of them. It's rinse and repeat. I've got my formula and know it. That's the efficiencies too. I know, okay, I've got 20 in it and it'll cost me about $7,000, $8,000 for closing costs unless I pay down points.
Mm.
So
Very
I
cool.
really know my numbers. So my upfront's about 15 grand. If your lender will do the loan based off of final appraisal after construction, some lenders do 80% of construction costs. Well, then that's totally different. A lot more cash out of pocket. But there are lenders that are willing to do it. I've got three here locally. They're all three willing to do it. So there are local community lenders are probably going to be where you get some of that flexibility.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend if you're doing infill development, going with a community bank versus a big bank because they're incentivized to invest in the community. They're going to be a lot more
Yes.
flexible. All right, Jack's got a question here. Have you run into situations where you had to upgrade the sewer system and water treatment plants? Oh my goodness! As an example, talking about is what we see some newer housing and trailer parks. So have you ever had to upgrade or I
Well,
don't know, rescope or anything?
that's funny. This is going to go all the way back to my teenage years. Usually that is on a development.
Okay.
Development will make you do that. My family had to do that in our community for the development we made. I remember my parents griping about it and how the cost of redoing some of their sewer system and all their problems they were having, we were having to fix.
Wow.
But the other thing is, yes, you are in a sense, the impact fees are really what that is. It's costing them to add that capacity, and you're paying for that cost.
Yeah, very cool. And a lot of this is again doing infill lots where the stuff's already run that it kind of keeps that lower. You're not going out into the country and doing something with nothing around.
Right.
Uh, Pretty interesting. Um, let's go to Brandon again. Or no, Flavio. Financial talk. What are the costs for sewer and water connections in his area? He paid 24 grand for a sewer connection.
Yeah, it is different per community. Mine, it's around for the connection for the water meters. For me, is around four. It's 43.50.
Mm. Just a flat fee every time, 43.50.
Everybody's different. That's it. That's community specific.
Okay, very cool. All right, Jim, you got your hand up one more time,
Yep.
and then we'll go to Esther.
The thing that's nice about build to rent is you have pretty consistent budgets and pricing and everything else. Have you hit any kind of gotchas based on that though?
Mm.
I have. So I shared that in one of my videos on my channel. So we did one that we finished up in the spring. I thought it was you'll think it's level. You're trying your best, and you'll realize once you grade out the lot, oh, it has a little more fall than you thought.
Oh yeah.
And so I had to put in a retaining wall, and it was $4,500 for the retaining wall. I always have a contingency. In every build, I leave a few percent in contingency for those things, and I have a few little triggers through the build that I can save a few dollars here and there. So I was able to make up that 4,500 and get back to budget. If I wouldn't have had that, I'd have been 4,500 under budget.
Mm.
So I leave a little bit, especially what I would recommend if somebody's going to do it for the first time. I'm down, you should leave 3 to 5% as a contingency, especially the first time. Your builder might say even more, but in that you should probably be closer in that 5%. I'm down to rinse and repeat. So I have on a $200,000 build, I have a $3,000 contingency and hardly ever use it on each build because I'm doing it's the first one's the hardest one. And the key to it is having a good builder that really knows their stuff. You're going to have less likelihood to have cost overruns. You want to make sure that they also give you good budgets for appliances, for fixtures, for hardware. You're looking at what they're putting in there because sometimes these builders, to make themselves be the cheapest bid, they'll put really low numbers on those type of products to where you can't even hit budget if you got the cheapest thing out there. You want to hit them hard, making sure that that number is correct on a lot of those lighting, your door hardware, your appliances, all those variables. You want to make sure those numbers are appropriate. That's been a got you I've seen in the past that I've learned my lessons when I was doing even my own builds. I was making sure the builder put in the appropriate budgets for what I expected to do for that project.
Yeah, very, very cool. All right, so we'll go through the last two comments here. We'll go to Esther's first, and we'll close with Jack's. Esther's comments really basically, how do you do all of this? Esther, hopefully you are coming to the Vegas event. He will be going through excruciating level of details, real examples, breaking everything down. Obviously, he has some advantages being in a builder family, knowing this process, all of that. Certainly doesn't work everywhere, as we've kind of talked about earlier. But Brandon, Esther will bring the heat in Vegas, all the details, all the questions, all the pictures. And again, he'll be there both days. And so you'll have 6 hours in the VIP session to even go deeper on that. So we'll do that. We'll close with Jack's question. Basically, for me, Zuber, if you were starting over, is Brandon's strategy something you would think about, or would you keep your story the same? Again, I mean, no offense to Brandon, he's amazing, but hell no. I didn't have time, I didn't have skill, I didn't have experience, I didn't know anybody in the community. my story would be exactly the same. And this goes back to the very beginning, right? What is the one thing? What I mean, let's even go deeper, right? Jack, you asked this question about me at the beginning. Jack should ask the question, Zuber, would you do this today? You're already financially free. You know a bunch of people. You've got relationships, experience in Fresno for 20 plus years. Would you do this? Kind of to Jim's comment earlier. Hell no. I tried to freaking add an ADU in California and they tried to kill me. So, it's really funny. I bought lots in the Great Recession. I bought lots for as cheap as $8,000. I sold them, right? I flipped them and made, doubled my money, sold them for 16, just because I could. But no, this would never be a Zuber thing. No experience, no history. No, I like to buy things that are ugly and clean them up. I don't like to build pretty from scratch. So again, back to, Brandon and I's point at the very beginning, know your thing. And my thing wouldn't change. And Jack, thank you for asking that question. Brandon, you have a YouTube channel. You're going to be at the event. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Where can people find you?
Yeah, it's B2R Investing and Financial Talk. And I'm trying to share, know that my strength, we all have different strengths, is the build. I'm also a big picture person. So Michael's dragging me into more detail because I just don't think of it. I'm not a detail, I'm more of a big picture. So I will work to get as detailed as I can and ask the questions to get more detail. It's not that I don't want to share it. I just don't think of it. That's just not my natural. I'm more the big picture. And I am so looking forward to this conference, even as a speaker. What a thing, what a blessing. But also, it's the networking. Every year, this will be my third year too. I look forward to it more every year. It is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun, all of us getting together face to face, well, belly to belly. You're breaking bread together. It's a different connection than video, and you will miss out. And I mean that genuinely. You will miss out if you don't sign up. And if Michael doesn't do it next year, you're going to regret it. Don't have regrets.
Absolutely. Well, you've got more and more people holding you accountable for your book. So again, we got a
There you
9
go.
month clock on it. Again, folks, remind them
Oh,
you're in the school community, April 15th, 2026. You know what? That's actually, 2 months after our event. So you should have a very good rough draft and maybe we'll get some book cover. We'll get some quotes or reviews for you at the event. So
there
again,
you
nine
go.
months, we're going to have another ORaaT family or ORaaT the school member writing a book. So we look forward to that. Folks, take care. Don't forget next Sunday, 9:30 Pacific, the one and only Pace Morby, keynote speaker or at event. Be there or be square. Take care. Later.